The sky over Tarian 5 was a strange shade of violet, streaked with orange clouds that glowed like molten metal in the setting sun. The planet was quiet now, but the silence was deceptive. Years of conflict had left its surface scarred, with cities half buried in ash and forests twisted from fire. Alara moved cautiously across the barren plains, her boots crunching on the dry, cracked soil. She was small for her species, agile and quick, with eyes that reflected light like polished amber. Every sense she possessed screamed alert, aware that danger could appear from anywhere. Alara was not alone. Her team of scouts trailed behind her, each one a master of reconnaissance blending seamlessly into the terrain. They had come here on a diplomatic mission, to meet a neighboring species known for aggression but also cunning intelligence. Peace talks were difficult, even impossible at times, yet they had to try. Tarian 5's resources were vital for both sides, and the threat of war loomed over every negotiation. But Alara's mind was elsewhere. Something drew her attention beyond the negotiations, something that felt almost familiar. A movement far ahead caught her sharp eyes. She froze, instinct taking over, her hand resting lightly on the blaster at her hip. From the corner of her vision, she saw a figure walking alone, calm and deliberate, as though the desolate landscape belonged to him. He was human. She could tell instantly, not from legend, not from stories, but from an instinct that went deeper than memory. There was something about him. It had been years since she had seen a human up close. Since the attack on her village, when she was a child, humans were just a part of the stories adults told her to give her hope. And yet, here was one, tall and strong, moving with the confidence of someone who had faced countless dangers and survived. Alara's heart thumped in her chest. She had to approach, but carefully. She signaled her team to halt. "Wait," she whispered in her language, the words soft, almost lost in the wind. They obeyed instantly, understanding the unspoken tension. She stepped forward alone, the uneven ground making her stride cautious. As she neared, the human noticed her. He turned slowly, his eyes meeting hers. Alara stopped in her tracks. Her breath caught. Every detail of his face seemed to resonate with a memory she had buried for years. He was older now, his hair streaked with gray, but the courage in his eyes, the determination, the way he carried himself. It was the same man who had saved her life all those years ago. Her mind raced, trying to make sense of it. Could it really be him? She had been only a small child, terrified and alone, when he had appeared during the raid on her village. She had never seen his face clearly in those chaotic moments, only remembered the courage, the way he had shielded her from the attackers. But now, standing before her, she recognized him instantly. The human warrior spoke, his voice calm but carrying the weight of experience. "You're far from home, aren't you?" he said in Galactic Common, the language she had learned for diplomacy. Alara nodded, her throat dry. She struggled to find the words to bridge the years that had separated them. I think I know you," she said carefully, her voice trembling slightly. "Years ago, you saved me." The human's eyes widened, a flicker of recognition crossing his face. "Alara?" he asked. His tone was uncertain, almost disbelieving. "Is that really you?" Alara's mind flashed back. She saw herself as a small child, hiding behind a broken wall, watching her village burn. The attackers were everywhere, creatures with jagged weapons and strange armor. Fear had paralyzed her until he appeared, a human, strong and fearless. He had fought through the chaos, scooping her up, shielding her from danger, and carried her to safety. She had never known his name, only remembered his courage, his unwavering determination to protect her. "Yes," she said softly, her voice steadying. "It is me. You saved my life. I never forgot." The human warrior nodded slowly. Memories seemed to rush back for him as well. "I remember," he said quietly, almost to himself. "I was supposed to stay on mission, but you were in danger. I couldn't leave you." Alara felt a warmth in her chest, a strange mixture of relief and awe. The stories she had heard about humans had always described bravery, ingenuity, and resilience. But seeing it firsthand, witnessing the man who had saved her, made it real. He was exactly what the legend said, strong, wise, and courageous. But the moment was short-lived. A distant rumble made them both tense. The scouts behind her raised their weapons instinctively. Something was coming. Something large. Shadows moved across the plains, and Alara could feel the pressure of the atmosphere shift. She looked at the human warrior. "We are not safe here," she said. He nodded, scanning the horizon. "No," he said. "We're not. But together, we might have a chance." Alara realized in that instant that her instincts had been right. Humans were exceptional, not just physically, but mentally and strategically. The warrior's presence alone changed the balance of danger. She felt an odd sense of courage returning to her, a feeling she hadn't known since childhood. "Follow me," she said, motioning to her team. "We need to move to higher ground. I know a place where we can observe them safely." As they walked, she noticed details she had never seen before. The human's careful movements, the way he scanned their surroundings, how his hand never left his weapon, ready for anything. It was as though time had not dulled his skills. He had become even more formidable, a true warrior of the galaxy. Along the way, Alara asked questions. "Why did you leave? Why did you vanish after everything?" The human paused, looking at her thoughtfully. "I had missions," he said. "I had to keep moving, helping where I could. You were my greatest memory from that time. I always hoped you survived." Her chest tightened. The idea that he had remembered her, thought of her, inspired her even as a child, made her heart swell with admiration. Humans were capable of incredible things, and he was living proof. Suddenly, the ground shook violently. The distant rumble became a deafening roar. Alara's team crouched instinctively, preparing for whatever was approaching. In the distance, enormous machines appeared on the horizon, their shapes jagged and alien. This was no ordinary threat. This was an invasion force, the kind she had only ever seen in simulations and reports. The human warrior stepped forward without hesitation. "We need to split up," he said firmly. "I can draw some attention, give you a chance to move to higher ground. Then we regroup." Alara shook her head. "No, I won't leave your side. You saved my life once. I'm not letting anything happen to you now." He smiled faintly, a hint of amusement in his tired eyes. "You've grown brave," he said, "just like I hoped." The first of the machines reached them, their engines roaring like thunder. Smoke and dust filled the air, making visibility difficult. Alara and the human warrior moved together, a perfect team, weaving through the debris and using cover with precision. Her heart raced, but fear was tempered by the knowledge that she was no longer alone. As they climbed a ridge, Alara stole a glance at him. The sun was setting behind his figure, casting a long shadow across the plains. He looked almost legendary, as if he had stepped out of the stories she had heard as a child. She realized something important. Humans were more than myths. They were real. They could inspire courage in the most hopeless situations. At the top of the ridge, they finally paused. The invasion force was still below, but from this vantage point, they could see everything. The human warrior surveyed the battlefield with a sharp eye, calculating, analyzing, preparing for what needed to be done. "You were right," he said, turning to Alara. "We might just have a chance." Alara nodded. For the first time in years, she felt a flicker of hope. The memories of fear and helplessness that had haunted her since childhood were now replaced by determination. Together, she and the human warrior would face whatever came next. And for the first time, she realized that the man who had saved her long ago was not just a hero in stories, he was a hero in real life. And now she would stand by his side. The ridge offered a clear view of the plains below. Smoke rose in black clouds curling toward the violet sky, marking the path of destruction the alien machines had left behind. Alara's eyes narrowed as she took in the scene. Her heart pounded not with fear this time, but with a renewed determination. She had survived once because of him, and now she would not let anything stop them from protecting this planet and each other. The human warrior stood a few steps away, his gaze sweeping across the horizon with a calm focus that belied the chaos below. The way he moved, even while observing, showed experience beyond measure. Every decision he made seemed precise, deliberate, and perfectly calculated. Alara could see why stories of human heroism spread across the galaxy. There was something about him, something that radiated courage, intelligence, and compassion all at once. "You're different," Alara said quietly, almost to herself, but loud enough for him to hear. He looked at her, tilting his head with curiosity. "Different how?" She hesitated. You saved me as a child. I never forgot it. And yet, seeing you now, you're stronger, calmer, smarter. You've changed, but the courage is the same. I can feel it," the warrior smiled faintly, a tired, knowing smile. "Life changes everyone," he said. "But some things stay with you. Courage, hope. The people you saved, they stay with you too." Alara felt her throat tighten. She had always wondered if he even remembered her, if the small, frightened child he had rescued mattered in the vast universe. But now she saw that she did. She mattered to him as he had mattered to her. "I do remember," he said softly, almost as if speaking to himself. "I remember that day like it was yesterday. You were scared, hiding behind a wall while your village burned. I should have been on a different mission, but I couldn't leave you. I didn't know if anyone else would survive. You were my responsibility, whether I wanted it or not." Alara's eyes widened. His voice carried weight, not arrogance, but truth. She realized something important. Humans were not just brave, they carried the weight of their choices and responsibilities with them, even across decades. The warrior's words made her feel both safe and inspired. "I remember too," she said. "I remember thinking, if he can be brave enough to save me, maybe humans are stronger than we think. Maybe we can survive anything if we have courage like his." The human warrior's gaze softened. "And you," he said, nodding toward her. "You grew into someone remarkable. You survived and you've become a leader. That courage I saw in you as a child, it never left you." Alara felt a warmth spread through her chest. The praise, the recognition, it was more than she had expected. It was as if a piece of her past had finally returned to guide her into the present. She felt ready to face whatever lay ahead, bolstered by the presence of the one human who had shaped her destiny. But there was little time for reflection. The alien machines had noticed them, their sensors flickering as they scanned the ridge. Below, figures moved in a coordinated march, their weapons pointed and ready. The invasion was not random, it was organized, strategic, and deadly. Alara knew they had to act quickly. "We can't stay here," she said, motioning to her scouts. "We need a plan, and we need to move before they see us clearly." The human warrior studied the enemy formations carefully, his eyes sharp, calculating. "We can use the terrain to our advantage," he said. "Those machines aren't built for rough ground. We can lead them into the ravine and slow them down. That will give your people time to evacuate." Alara nodded, impressed by his tactical thinking. Even after all these years, his mind worked with precision. "Then let's do it," she said. Together, they led the scouts down the ridge, moving with stealth and caution. Alara noticed how seamlessly they coordinated their movements. The human warrior gave small, precise commands that everyone understood instantly. His presence made her feel safe, as if no danger could truly harm them while he was near. As they approached the ravine, the human turned to her. "Tell me about your people," he said. "What's changed since that day?" Alara took a deep breath. "So much. And yet some things are the same. My people are stronger now, more resilient. But we are still vulnerable, and threats like this still exist. That's why I scout, why I try to find allies. The galaxy can be cruel, but we survive because we fight, and because we learn from those who came before us." The human warrior nodded. "You're wise beyond your years," he said. "I see now why I was meant to find you again." They reached the ravine, a deep, jagged valley that cut through the plains. The ground was uneven, dangerous but perfect for slowing down the enemy machines. Alara gestured for her team to take cover along the sides, while the warrior moved slightly ahead to scout the path. "Ready?" he asked, glancing back at her. She nodded. "Ready." The first of the machines appeared, their massive frames casting long shadows as they advanced. The human warrior stepped forward, drawing their attention. With quick, precise movements, he led the first wave toward the ravine. The machine struggled to navigate the rocky terrain, slowing down and creating an opening for Alara's team to move safely. Alara's heart raced, but she followed his lead, trusting his instincts completely. She had seen bravery before, but this was something different, something almost legendary. Humans, she realized, were capable of inspiring courage not just through words, but through action. After a tense few minutes, the initial threat passed. The machines had slowed, some even trapped in the uneven ground. Alara and the human warrior regrouped at the edge of the ravine. Her scouts were safe, but exhausted. "You're incredible," Alara said, breathing heavily. I can't believe you remembered me all these years." The warrior smiled faintly. "How could I forget?" he said. "You were the reason I didn't give up. The reason I kept going when everything seemed hopeless. You reminded me why we fight, why courage matters." Alara felt a lump in her throat. It was rare for her to hear such honesty, such humility from anyone, let alone someone so legendary. "Then we fight together," she said firmly. "Not just for me, not just for your people, but for everyone who needs hope." The warrior nodded. "Agreed." For a moment, the chaos of the battlefield faded, replaced by a quiet understanding between them. Memories of the past and the urgency of the present blended together, forming a bond that neither time nor distance could break. They had been separated for years, yet fate had brought them back together at the precise moment they were needed most. As night fell over Tarion 5, the stars emerging in the violet sky, Alara and the human warrior stood side by side. The invasion below was far from over, but they had found strength in each other. Together they would face whatever came next, drawing courage not only from their past but from the unwavering trust they now shared. The human warrior glanced at her. "Tomorrow," he said, "we plan. Tonight we survive," Alara nodded. "And tomorrow, we change the course of this battle." For the first time in years, she felt hope bloom in her chest. The world was dangerous, the galaxy vast and unforgiving, but she was no longer alone. The human warrior who had saved her as a child was here, and together they would confront whatever challenges awaited them. And for Alara, that made all the difference. Night had fully fallen over Tarion 5, turning the plains into a canvas of shadows and moonlight. The distant rumble of engines echoed through the valleys, a constant reminder that the alien machines were still advancing. Alara crouched behind a jagged outcrop of rock, her amber eyes scanning the horizon. Her team was tense, moving quietly, waiting for the human warrior's instructions. Even in darkness, his presence radiated authority and calm confidence. "Stay low," he whispered, his voice steady. "They're scanning for movement. If we stay careful, we can use the terrain to our advantage." Alara nodded. She had already learned to trust him instinctively. Every plan he made, every command he gave, carried the weight of experience. He had survived countless battles, navigated dangerous territories, and yet, here he was, willing to fight for a small planet on the edge of the galaxy. The first wave of alien scouts appeared on the horizon, their glowing eyes cutting through the darkness. They moved like shadows, silent and precise. The human warrior signaled to Alara, pointing toward a narrow canyon nearby. "Lead them there," he said. "It's tight. They won't have room to maneuver, and we can control the engagement." Alara felt her heart quicken. The plan was risky, but it made sense. She motioned to her scouts, and they moved in perfect formation, staying low and moving quickly. The alien scouts noticed the movement almost immediately, their sensors flickering as they gave chase. The chase was tense. Alara ran, ducking under rocks and jumping across uneven ground, all while keeping the human warrior in sight. He moved with precision, calculating every step, leading them exactly where he wanted. His calm in the midst of danger was infectious, and soon Alara felt her own fear giving way to focus. They reached the canyon, a narrow gorge carved through the rocky plains. The walls rose high on both sides, jagged and uneven, creating natural traps. The alien scouts entered the canyon, their large forms struggling to fit through the narrow passage. Alara's plan was working exactly as the human warrior had predicted. "Now," he shouted. Alara and the scouts triggered a series of small, controlled explosions along the canyon walls. Rocks and debris fell, blocking the passage and forcing the machines to slow down. Sparks flew as their engines struggled against the rocky terrain, and the ground shook with the impact. The human warrior moved among the scouts with ease, guiding them, protecting them, his movements precise and deliberate. Alara watched in awe as he dispatched smaller threats with efficiency and grace. His combat skills were extraordinary, a perfect combination of strength, agility, and strategy. She understood now why humans were considered legendary fighters across the galaxy. But the battle was far from over. The main wave of alien machines appeared on the horizon, larger and more heavily armed than the scouts. Their engines glowed bright against the night sky, and their weapons hummed with deadly energy. The human warrior glanced at Alara, his eyes sharp and focused. "They're coming," he said. "We need a new plan." Alara felt a surge of determination. "We fight," she said. "Together!" The human warrior nodded, and they moved to the high ground overlooking the canyon. From this vantage point, they could see the entire battlefield. The alien machines were advancing steadily, their movements coordinated and deliberate. But Alara noticed something. They were predictable. Their strategies were rigid, their responses slow. The human warrior's mind was already calculating, finding weaknesses in their approach. "Concentrate on their weapon systems," he said, pointing to the machines below. "If we disable those, we can level the playing field." Alara nodded, signaling her team. They began targeting the weapons with precision, using every tool at their disposal. Small energy bursts disabled turrets, smoke grenades obscured sensors, and well-placed traps slowed the machine's advance. The human warrior moved among them, offering guidance and support, his presence a constant source of inspiration. Hours passed, the battle intensifying with every moment. Alara found herself pushing beyond her limits, drawing strength from the warrior beside her. She had never felt such determination, such courage as she did now. The human's ingenuity combined with her species' agility and knowledge created a synergy that was unstoppable. At one point, a massive machine broke through their defenses, its energy cannon aiming directly at Alara's position. She froze, fear threatening to take over. But the human warrior was there instantly, intercepting the attack with a well-timed maneuver that sent the machine staggering backward. "You're not alone," he shouted. "Trust yourself." "Trust us." Alara's fear melted away, replaced by focus. She followed his lead, and together they brought down the massive machine. The battlefield trembled with the impact, and for a brief moment silence fell over the canyon. But the human warrior knew the fight was far from over. He turned to Alara, his expression serious. "We can hold them for now, but we need a final strategy. If we don't act quickly, they'll regroup and overwhelm us." Alara nodded, determination shining in her eyes. "Then we act. We fight smart and we fight together." He smiled faintly. "That's the spirit." Using the canyon as a trap, they led the remaining machines into a confined area, forcing them to bottleneck. Alara's scouts set up energy nets and barriers, while the human warrior devised a plan to disable the machine's power cores. It was risky, but it was their best chance. As the enemy advanced, he turned to Alara. "Ready?" he asked. "Always," she replied. The two of them moved in unison, their combined skills a perfect match. The human warrior took the lead, using his experience to identify weak points in the machine's armor. Alara followed, her agility and quick thinking complementing his precision. Together they struck with efficiency and speed, disabling the enemy one by one. The battle reached its climax as the final machine, the largest of all, emerged from the shadows. Its energy shields glowed brightly, and its massive weapons hummed with power. Alara felt a moment of fear, but she quickly pushed it aside. The human warrior placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We've come too far to back down now," he said. "We finish this together." With a nod, Alara leaped into action. The human warrior moved with unmatched skill, targeting critical points while she used her agility to evade attacks and strike precisely. The two of them coordinated flawlessly, a perfect combination of strength, strategy, and courage. Finally, with a well-placed strike from the human warrior and a calculated maneuver from Alara, the final machine's power core exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The canyon shook, debris falling around them, but the threat was neutralized. Silence fell once more, broken only by the labored breathing of the scouts and the distant hum of retreating enemies. Alara looked at the human warrior, awe and admiration shining in her eyes. You're incredible," she said, her voice filled with respect. He shook his head, a small smile on his face. "You were incredible too. I've seen courage before, but you've grown into something remarkable. The child I saved has become a warrior in her own right." Alara felt a warmth in her chest, a mix of pride and gratitude. She realized something important. Humans were more than just fighters. They were leaders, thinkers, and protectors. And this one human who had saved her years ago had reminded her of the true meaning of courage. As dawn began to break over the plains, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, Alara and the human warrior stood side by side, surveying the battlefield. The enemy was gone for now, but the scars of the night remained. They had won, but the galaxy was vast and danger was never far away. The human warrior placed a hand on her shoulder, a gesture of reassurance. "We did well tonight," he said, "but this is just the beginning. There are greater challenges ahead and we'll face them together." Alara nodded, determination blazing in her eyes. "Together," she echoed. For the first time in years, she felt truly unafraid. The past, the fear, the memories of helplessness, they no longer held her back. She had survived because of him once, and now she would continue to survive and thrive, inspired by the human warrior who had changed her life forever. And as they prepared to move forward, Alara understood something she had never fully realized. The strength of one human had not only saved her life, but it had also ignited a spark of courage that could inspire entire civilizations. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, but together, they could face anything. The morning sun rose over Tarion 5, casting long shadows across the battered plains. The aftermath of the previous night's battle was evident. Craters scarred the landscape, debris littered the ground, and the distant hum of retreating alien machines still echoed in the air. Alara stood atop a ridge, her amber eyes scanning the horizon. The human warrior was beside her, examining a holographic map of the region projected from a portable device. "We can't let them regroup," he said, his voice calm but firm. "If the main fleet repairs its ships, they'll come back stronger. We need to take the fight to them." Alara nodded. "What do you suggest?" The human warrior tapped the map, highlighting a massive vessel hovering above the planet's northern sector. "That's their command ship," he explained. "If we disable it, the rest of their fleet will fall into chaos. They won't know what to do without orders." Alara's heart raced. The plan was dangerous, perhaps the most dangerous she had ever heard. But she also understood its importance. If they failed, the enemy would return with even greater force. She glanced at the human warrior, feeling a mixture of fear and admiration. He had faced countless battles before, yet he approached this one with a calm determination that inspired confidence. "We do this together," she said, her voice steady. He nodded. Together. They spent the next few hours preparing. Alara's scouts gathered supplies, energy packs, and weapons, while the human warrior checked their equipment, making adjustments with precise efficiency. He moved among the team with ease, offering guidance, reassurance, and tactical advice. His presence alone seemed to boost morale, giving everyone a renewed sense of purpose. As they approached the base of the cliff leading to the command ship, the human warrior turned to Alara. "We'll split into 2 teams," he said. "I'll lead the main assault on the ship's core, while you and your scouts provide support and handle any obstacles. We stick to the plan, no improvisation unless absolutely necessary." Alara nodded, trusting him completely. "Understood. Let's do this." The climb to the northern sector was treacherous. The terrain was jagged and uneven, and the alien forces had set up defensive turrets along the path. Alara led her scouts carefully, keeping their movements silent and controlled. The human warrior moved ahead, scouting for weaknesses and planning their approach. Every step they took was calculated, every decision precise. Finally, they reached the base of the command ship's platform. The massive vessel hovered above, its engines glowing with energy. Alien guards patrolled the area, their movements coordinated and precise. Alara took a deep breath, feeling a surge of determination. She had faced fear before, but nothing compared to this. Yet, with the human warrior at her side, she felt capable of anything. "Ready?" he asked, glancing at her. Alara nodded. "Always." The human warrior led the charge. Using a combination of stealth and strategy, he moved swiftly, disabling guards with precision and guiding the scouts to cover key positions. Alara followed closely, her movements fluid and controlled. Together they formed a seamless unit, each relying on the other's strengths. As they approached the entrance to the command ship, they encountered a massive security gate. Energy barriers pulsed and automated defenses scanned for intruders. The human warrior studied the gate carefully, then whispered, "We'll need to disable the power source." "Alara, can your team handle that?" She nodded. "Leave it to us." Alara and her scouts moved to the side, using their agility and knowledge of alien technology to locate the power conduit. Sparks flew as they worked, energy crackling around them, but they remained focused. Within minutes, the barriers deactivated, granting the human warrior access to the command ship. Inside, the corridors were dark and narrow, lit only by the ship's ambient energy. The human warrior moved silently, his hand never leaving his weapon. Alara followed, her senses heightened, aware that danger could appear at any moment. They navigated through the maze of hallways, disabling guards and security systems with precision. Finally, they reached the core chamber, the heart of the command ship. Massive energy conduits crisscrossed the room, pulsing with power. Alien officers monitored the systems, their attention focused on the displays before them. The human warrior studied the layout carefully. "We need to strike the main console," he said. "Once it's offline, the fleet will be blind." Alara and the human warrior moved in perfect coordination. He distracted the officers, drawing their attention and using precise movements to neutralize threats, while she and her scouts targeted the main console. Energy bolts flew, sparks erupted, and the room shook with the impact of their actions. Yet their teamwork was flawless, each movement timed and deliberate. Suddenly, an alarm blared. Reinforcements were approaching, faster and more numerous than they had anticipated. Alara felt a surge of fear, but the human warrior's calm presence steadied her. "Keep going," he shouted. "We're almost there." With one final, coordinated strike, the console erupted in a brilliant flash of light. The ship's systems shut down, and the fleet above trembled as the command signal was lost. Alien ships wavered in the sky, some crashing into one another in confusion. The human warrior and Alara stood side by side, their faces illuminated by the glow of the failing systems. Breathing heavily, Alara turned to him. "We did it," she said, awe in her voice. He smiled faintly, a mixture of exhaustion and satisfaction on his face. "Not just us," he said. "Everyone contributed. Courage comes in many forms." The battle was far from over, but the tide had turned. The alien fleet was disorganized, retreating in confusion. Alara and the human warrior guided the remaining forces, using strategy and skill to secure the planet and protect their people. As the sun began to rise higher, painting the sky with shades of gold and violet, Alara felt a profound sense of accomplishment. She had faced danger beyond imagination, yet survived, and she had done so with the human warrior who had saved her as a child. For the first time, she understood the true meaning of courage and heroism. It was not just about strength or skill. It was about the willingness to face fear, to protect others, and to act with integrity. The human warrior embodied these qualities, and in his presence she had discovered her own potential. They stood together on the platform of the command ship, overlooking the plains below. The alien threat had been neutralized for now, and their people were safe. Alara turned to the human warrior, gratitude and admiration shining in her eyes. "Thank you," she said simply. "For everything." He shook his head, smiling. "You don't need to thank me. You've grown into someone remarkable. You've shown courage, intelligence, and determination. You're a leader, Alara. I only reminded you of your strength." Alara felt a warmth in her chest, a mixture of pride and hope. She realized that her journey was far from over. The galaxy was vast, filled with challenges and dangers, but she was ready. With the human warrior by her side, she felt capable of facing anything. As they prepared to descend from the command ship and return to their people, Alara reflected on the past and the present. The human who had saved her as a child had not only protected her life, but had also inspired her to become the person she was today. His courage had become a part of her, guiding her decisions and shaping her destiny. And now, standing beside him once more, she understood that their paths were intertwined for a reason. Together they had faced impossible odds, and together they would continue to fight for justice, hope, and the survival of their people. The human warrior glanced at her, a faint smile on his lips. "Ready for the next challenge?" he asked. Alara nodded, her eyes shining with determination. "Always," she replied. The plains of Tarion 5 stretched out before them, scarred by battle but alive with the promise of a new day. The human warrior and Alara descended together side by side, ready to face whatever the galaxy had in store. Their bond, forged through courage, trust, and shared experience, would guide them through the challenges ahead. For Alara, the memory of being saved as a child had transformed into a legacy of bravery. And with the human warrior by her side, that legacy would continue to grow, inspiring not only her but all those who would hear their story. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, but together, they were unstoppable. The battle over Tarion 5 had finally come to an end. The alien command ship was destroyed, their fleet scattered and disorganized, and the planet's defenders were slowly beginning to breathe again. Smoke still lingered in the air, and scorched ground stretched across the plains, a reminder of the dangers they had faced. But amid the destruction, there was a sense of triumph, a feeling that the impossible had been accomplished. Alara stood on the edge of a cliff overlooking the plains. The rising sun painted the horizon in shades of gold and violet, reflecting off the battered landscape. She took a deep breath, feeling the cool wind on her face, and allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. The events of the past days had been overwhelming, but she had survived. More than that, she had helped lead her people to victory. Beside her, the human warrior adjusted his armor, his calm presence a steadying force. Alara looked at him, admiration shining in her eyes. "We did it," she said softly. He shook his head with a faint smile. "We did it together," he corrected. "Every person here played a part. Courage doesn't belong to one individual. It belongs to everyone willing to stand up and fight." Alara nodded, thinking about the scouts, the soldiers, and even the civilians who had helped in small but meaningful ways. Each of them had contributed to the victory. And yet she felt something deeper, something personal. She looked at the human warrior, the man who had saved her as a child, and realized that the spark he had ignited in her so long ago had grown into a flame that could never be extinguished. The warrior turned to her, his eyes meeting hers. "You've changed since the last time I saw you," he said. "Stronger, wiser, braver than ever. The child I saved is now someone who could inspire entire worlds." Alara felt a lump in her throat. The words meant more to her than she could express. "I learned from you," she said quietly. "You taught me what courage looks like. You showed me that even when the world is against you, hope can still exist." He shook his head, smiling faintly. "No, Alara, you learned it on your own. I just reminded you of the courage that was always inside you." Their moment of reflection was interrupted by the sounds of activity below. Survivors were emerging from shelters, cautiously stepping into the open, and soldiers were regrouping, assessing damages, and providing aid. The human warrior and Alara descended the cliff, joining the efforts. Together they helped organize the rebuilding, providing guidance and inspiration to those around them. As they worked, Alara felt a sense of pride unlike anything she had known. She had been a child once, frightened and powerless, relying entirely on the courage of a human warrior she barely knew. But now she was a leader, capable of making decisions that could save lives and shape the future. She realized that bravery was not only about facing danger, it was also about taking responsibility, inspiring others, and acting with integrity. The human warrior noticed her attention drifting to the people below. "Thinking about the future?" he asked. Alara nodded. "Yes, about what comes next. About how to make sure our people are safe and how to prepare for whatever else the galaxy might throw at us." He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You'll be ready. You have what it takes. And remember, you're not alone. Courage multiplied by teamwork is unstoppable." As the day progressed, reports came in from other regions of the planet. The remaining alien forces were retreating, confused and disorganized without their command structure. Civilians were emerging safely from shelters, and the soldiers of Tarion 5 were beginning to restore order. The victory was clear, and the people's spirits were rising. Alara walked through the settlement observing the recovery. Families were reunited, food and water were being distributed, and the wounded were being tended to with care. Everywhere she looked, she saw the results of courage, teamwork, and determination. And at the center of it all, she noticed the human warrior moving quietly among the people, offering guidance and reassurance without seeking recognition. She approached him, her expression thoughtful. "You've done so much," she said, "and yet you never seek praise. You only care about helping." He smiled faintly. "Praise isn't important," he said. "What matters is that people survive, that hope continues, and that courage spreads. That's the real reward." Alara felt a surge of respect. She had learned so much from him, not just about fighting or strategy, but about leadership, humility, and the true meaning of heroism. And she realized something profound. Humans had a unique strength that went beyond physical skill or technology. It was the strength to inspire, to give hope, and to act selflessly in the face of impossible odds. Later, as the sun began to set, Alara and the human warrior stood together overlooking the plains once more. The remnants of the battle glowed softly in the fading light, a testament to the struggles they had endured. "You changed my life," Alara said quietly, her voice filled with emotion. "All those years ago, I would not be here today without you." He shook his head, his expression gentle. "You were always destined for greatness. I just helped you see it, and now you'll carry it forward. You'll inspire others, protect your people, and shape the future. That's more than any one person could hope for." Alara smiled, feeling a sense of peace. The human warrior had taught her that courage was not only about surviving, but about giving others the strength to survive as well. She thought about her own journey, from a frightened child hiding behind walls to a leader standing tall beside a legendary hero. As night fell, a celebration began in the settlement below. People cheered, danced, and sang, their voices rising into the sky, carrying the joy of survival and victory. Alara watched, feeling proud and inspired. She understood now that heroism was not about a single act, but about creating a ripple of courage that could touch countless lives. The human warrior stood beside her, observing quietly. "You've come a long way," he said. "And the galaxy is better for it." Alara nodded. "And you've shown me what it means to be brave, to protect, to inspire, and to never give up." He smiled faintly. "Then we've both done our part." The night air was calm, the stars shining brightly above. The battle was over, but the story of courage, hope, and heroism would continue. Alara realized that her life, shaped by one selfless act of a human warrior, had grown into something much greater, a legacy that could inspire generations. She turned to him, gratitude shining in her eyes. "I will not forget what you've done for me," she said, "and I will do my best to make sure your courage lives on, not just in stories, but in the people who need hope." The human warrior nodded, satisfied. "That's all any of us can do. Leave a mark, inspire others, and keep moving forward." As they stood together, looking out over the recovering planet, Alara felt a renewed sense of purpose. She was no longer the child who had once hidden in fear. She was a warrior, a leader, and a symbol of hope. And beside her stood the human who had shown her the way, the one who had saved her life and shaped her destiny. The galaxy was vast, filled with challenges and unknown dangers, but she knew she would face them with courage, wisdom, and the lessons she had learned. And the human warrior, ever humble, would continue to inspire, protect, and lead, not seeking glory but ensuring that hope endured. Together they had turned the tide of battle. Together they had proven that courage, determination, and selflessness could change the course of history. And together they had created a story that would be remembered for generations, a story of heroism, friendship, and the enduring power of the human spirit. As the first stars of night appeared, Alara smiled. She had survived, she had fought, and she had triumphed. And she had done it alongside the one human who had changed her life forever. The legacy of courage would continue, carried forward by her, by the human warrior, and by all those who dared to stand and fight for what was right. The galaxy was vast and challenges would come again. But Alara knew one thing for certain. Humanity's bravery, combined with hope and determination, could inspire even the most distant civilizations, and together, they would never be defeated. The human warrior turned to her, his eyes reflecting the starlight. "Ready for the next adventure?" he asked. Alara laughed softly, a sound full of joy and confidence. "Always," she replied. And with that they walked down to join their people side by side, ready to face whatever the future held.